So if there is anything that I'm so passionate about, is the issue to do with leadership, and it is issues to do with personal growth and development. This is the reason why you find that every video that I post, it has something to do with developing someone. Either I'm developing someone's self-confidence, or I'm encouraging someone to move on to their past pains and begin to embrace themselves. So I come from Zimbabwe, which is a nation that I love so much. And I understand that we have experienced a number of, challenges in my nation, economic challenges, social challenges, you name it. But one thing that I love about my people is that they are a resilient people that will continue to try, in people that are so intelligent, if I can use that term, because they will find a way on how they can survive even in the toughest situation, that if we are to take someone out there to come and live in such situations, they might not be able to survive. But my people can survive. So I've just come here so that I can talk to the African people, not only my nation, Zimbabwe, but I'm going to talk to every African person who's going to be listening to this video, because I understand that it will impart someone and it will make you change the way you perceive life. If there is one thing that I would like to address here on Yvonne Chido podcast, is the issue of removing victim mentality and embracing responsibility, which is something that I've realized that, my people in Zimbabwe and also in the African continent are suffering from. I understand that we might be bleeding of the excruciating pain of the past, the history that we may have experienced before. And I understand that there are systems that we introduce to us. For example, we have educational systems that we are trying to apply in a situation that might not be applicable to us. Because remember, each and every person has got a context. And I often say the context of a person is determined by the identity that they carry. So as African people, we have an identity, which we have since abandoned the moment that we received the education from our fellow neighbors. We need to understand this, that the moment we begin to embrace our identity and the moment we realize who we are, then it is easy for us to be able to channel how we are going to walk. Because the path that we are walking right now might not even be the path that we're supposed to be walking in, because it has nothing to do with us, but everything to do with what we consume, which is the media probably that you get from Europe, that you get from Asia, that you get from Arabs, that you get from other continents. So the moment we realize the identity that we carry as African people, we'll be able to package our lives according to the African context. And the moment that we do that, we have a sense of responsibility for every decision that we make. Yes, I get so fascinated because I understand this one thing, that when you don't understand who you are and when you don't understand what you're supposed to do and the function that you were created to do, because you were not placed in Zimbabwe or in any other African nation by accident. There is a reason, because you've got something that you have to offer. So if the situations and the environment is not conducive, then it means you need to understand that there is a certain potential within you that can be realized and that can actually change how people perceive this continent. It's never by accident. The reason why we think it's by accident is because we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand. We have embraced everything. We have embraced the way of living of other people. It's like every system that we are using to operate is borrowed system. It's not the systems that we created of our own. We borrowed systems that do not apply to the African context. And because of that, we suffer because we do not have a full appreciation or a full understanding of these systems. So let me give you an illustration. If you want to build a house, you make sure that you dig the foundation. And in most circumstances, when the house is finished, you won't see the foundation because it will be underground. If you look at a tree, you might be able to see the trunk and the branches and the leaves, but you won't see how deep the roots are. They can even be deeper than the tree itself. So that's the same situation. If you embrace a system that you have no knowledge of, you are just embracing something that is on the surface, which you do not have a full appreciation or a full understanding of. So when you then try to apply that system in your own lives, they won't work. They won't apply. They won't make sense because you are not the creators of those systems. You do not know the roots of those systems. So it is important for us to begin to develop ourselves intellectually, to begin to revisit our identity as African people, our identity as Zimbabweans, and begin to understand who are we as a people. And when we understand who we are as a people, we are able to repackage our lives according to the definitions that best fit us. This also applies on an individual level. If you really don't understand the value that you carry, if you really don't understand what you have to offer, then trust me, you will just live a life of copying other people because you won't have to beg other people to give you an identity or to imprint their identity on you, because you will just automatically copy what they do because you don't understand yourself as an individual. So I'm just encouraging you that let's not continue. Let's leave the past in the past. Let's leave history as history and begin to accept our current positioning. If we understand where we are right now, we will be in a better position to determine what we want our tomorrow to look like. I believe in Africa because even, people out there outside the continent of Africa say there is life, the future is Africa. I believe in Africa. Why? Because when I was studying history, I was told that at some point, different continents came to Africa to scramble for Africa. Why? Because Africa is filled with so much resource. It's filled with so many minerals that can actually enrich the whole world. So if we are so rich, where are we missing it? What is making us fail to become the most successful? Because besides the minerals that I'm talking about, we are a treasure. We have people in great numbers. Africa has got people. And imagine if each and every person listening to me, if each and every person who's going to pay attention to this decides to spend sleepless nights discovering themselves, discovering the potential that is within them and acting upon it. Imagine how much we are capable of building. I speak to you with so much passion because I'm so passionate about my nation and I'm so passionate about Africa as a whole, because I believe that every person has got a unique value that they can offer to their environment. I believe that you were not created so that you can survive for yourself. I believe that you were created so that you can edify every person around you. You can be able to edify, to add value to your communities. You can be able to add value to the entire nation. You just need to put your mind to it. You just need to make sure that you do not tolerate those emotions that I spoke of in the beginning, that you do not tolerate the emotion of betrayal. Because, I love the statements by Mother Teresa that, when you do good, people will talk and they will criticize you, but you just need to do good anyway, because this is who you were created to be. You can't change your identity because the next person has told you otherwise. No, you can't do that. So you continue being you. You know, when I'm using my cell phone, even if I call it an ugly cell phone, it doesn't stop calling people just because I say it is ugly. It doesn't stop, doing its functions, taking me to WhatsApp, taking me to Facebook just because I say it is ugly. It will just continue to execute its task. So should it happen to you that even if people say negatives about you, if they say negative things about what you're doing, you don't stop being you just because people say negative things. You continue to be you. So you need to understand, which is one thing that I've realized people don't know. If you ask anybody, who are you? A lot of people fail to answer that question because they don't understand what is inside them. They have lived mostly the entirety of their lives being socialized. So the socialization will give you a fake you, the person that is not the actual you, the kind of education that you received. You know, I often say that if the education system that you received is hindering you from understanding and discovering yourself, then just don't allow it to define you. Just tell yourself, I'm not going to be defined by this education system, and I'm going to make sure that I uncover and discover who I am so that I can be able to fully function according to the identity that I carry. Because I understand that a lot of people, we have responsibilities and we have something that we can offer really. You know, so if you have realized from how I was speaking that my most concern is that we ought to change our mindsets. We ought to change how we perceive things. If you're a Christian, you understand of Romans chapter 12, verse 2, which says that do not conform to the standards of this world. When we're talking of standards, we're talking of already set systems. You are told that this is the standard and you cannot go over that standard. So when we say do not conform to the standards, it's just saying that you do not have to limit yourself by the already set standards, because the person who set that standard is a person just like you and me. And it doesn't mean that they had realized their full potential when they were setting those standards. So they are prone to be changed. You can change them. So what is stopping you from realizing yourself? What is stopping you from being the leader that you ought to be? What is stopping you from empowering those people that needs to be empowered? What is stopping you from helping the people that needs to be helped? We all have a responsibility. And the first responsibility that we have is the responsibility to watch out for one another, to care for each other. This would defeat all the greed. This would defeat all the pride. Because at the end of the day, you realize that the things that define us, that make us to walk in greed, that makes us to walk in this pride, are just things that we introduce to us. And they are defining us, giving us identities that do not even define who we really are. So the moment we realize that we are losing it, we are taking a direction that we are not supposed to be taking, the better, because it will help us to be repositioned and to become a powerful people once again. Because we were always a powerful people. It's just that we lost the confidence of who we are. We lost the confidence the moment that we gave away our power, and we wore that slave mentality to say these are our masters and we are slaves. The moment we did that, we lost everything. We lost the power to even control our own lives and to even control our own minds. But it's time for us to revisit and begin to live life as expected of us. Like I said, every person has an identity. Every person has a skill embedded in them. Besides the skill that you had to go to school to acquire, there is a skill that you were born with. That is the most important skill, if I can tell you. If you nurture that, I'm telling you, you become something that is unimaginable. So let's rise up. I'm calling upon you, every African champion, to rise up and to take your place and to begin to do great and massive things, because I know that you are capable. I know that you can do it. Never allow anyone to tell you that you can't, because I believe in you. I believe that you can. So Africa is never going to be the same because of you. You're going to do great things in this nation. You're going to do great things in this continent because you love it. Even if you have decided to be overseas, either you're listening to me, you are in UK, you are in America, you are in Australia, the fact that you are in those nations doesn't mean you cease to become African. You're just there, you're getting exposure, you're learning, so that you can also give back to your continent. You can give back to your nation. Why? Because that's where your identity is. So the moment you realize that where your identity is and begin to understand who you really are, I'm telling you, you become unstoppable. I hope this has been helpful to someone. I hope some leaders somewhere are going to rise up and begin to do great things and begin to influence and begin to change the narrative. Because I believe that Africans, you have the power to change your narrative. Don't allow anyone to tell you that Africans can't do anything. They should rely on donors. They should rely on, all other things that we think. Yes, we might need people's help, but that shouldn't define who we are. We are defined by the roots where we are coming from. So the moment we understand what is cementing the foundation, the moment we are able to stand as a strong structure. And you can stand as a strong structure, no matter what you might be going through. For now, goodbye.